This is the 27th episode of the Growing with God podcast. My name is Austin Fox. This is a series that we kicked off last summer in July of 2024. We appreciate everybody who has listened consistently over the past year. We have another outstanding PW student with us tonight, Nathan Weber. He just turned 17 years old. He recently wrapped up his junior year at PW. He'll be talking tonight about a wide variety of topics in the Catholic faith, including being a beloved son of Jesus Christ and the religious freedom that we have in this country, especially with this past weekend being the 4th of July weekend. Nathan, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So let's jump right into it. We mentioned that this past weekend was the 4th of July weekend, obviously a time of celebration for Americans. And I actually want to approach this topic from a religious perspective. I think a lot of people take for granted the religious freedoms that we have in this country. A lot of people don't have that privilege around the nation where they're not allowed to practice their faith openly, but we obviously are here in America. What does that mean to you, Nathan, to be able to talk about Jesus Christ in a public fashion with anybody, anytime, anywhere? How special is that to have that chance to do so here in America?
I think it's amazing that we have the right to do that. I mean, like I always hear people being like, "Oh, America, freedom, yeah," but like the fact that we can actually express our faith and do what we're called to do, to evangelize and spread that to other people. I think it's cool that we can do that, and that's like a very acceptable thing here compared to, some other nations where they're not allowed to do that, and that's sad, because if you can't follow your right faith, and then how are you supposed to get closer to God if you're not allowed to do that? So
there are countries around the world, obviously in communist countries, where talking about God or talking about faith in general will get you thrown in jail or worse, even killed. So it is such a privilege that we have that here, and it's so important not to forget that. The Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th, 1776.
Yeah.
And there is a line in the Declaration that, in layman's terms, says, those who have the ability to take action have the responsibility to take action. And that is in regards to if the newfound government goes astray. I apply that term or that statement the same way to our faith, where because we have the ability, because God has given us the privilege to talk about our faith, we have the responsibility to do so. And Nathan, you're someone that I've seen do that in a powerful way. You're so open to talking about God and Jesus Christ and your faith with others, and even more importantly, you have an enthusiasm and a passion every time you do that. Where does that energy come from whenever you talk about Jesus with others?
I don't know. I'd say that I've seen people fall away from the faith, and that's never a fun thing to watch. And I think that's always helped me be more enthusiastic, especially trying to help them get back. I'd see them and I'd be like, oh, if I make this look like something really cool, which don't get me wrong, it's awesome. But if I make it look awesome, want them to get back into it, then I think that'll help. And I think that's where like a lot of the energy about spreading the faith comes from. It's just being able to like help people get back to it and show them that it can be a really great thing.
When people see that we're passionate about something and enthusiastic about something, they are also usually intrigued and they want a part of it as well. So that's really cool that you do that with your faith and talking about Jesus Christ. We all know people in our lives who have fallen away from the faith, and that can be such a helpless feeling, trying to get them back to Jesus Christ. Nathan, what would you say to somebody who has fallen away from the faith and maybe has stopped going to Mass or practicing their Catholic faith? What's something that you would perhaps tell them in that moment if they asked you, why should I practice my faith? Why should I believe in God?
I would say, like a big thing that I usually tell people is like, if you got a problem and you got God to pray to, that's going to be fixed. Like, prayers don't go unanswered. Whether it's the way you want it or not, it will be answered. And that's like a big thing that I think will encourage people to pray more, is knowing that if they have a problem and they talk about it with God, that something's going to happen with that.
What's your go-to prayer?
I don't know if I have it's not like a regular prayer like Our Father, Hail Mary. It's more just me talking to God, like especially at the end of every day, I'll lay in bed and I'll just talk to God about my day, things I did right, things I did wrong, what can be better, and yeah, just overall about my life. And I think that's helped me quite a bit, being able to do that every day.
I love that you said that, because when I was younger, I used to go to adoration, and it was just simply a set of routine prayers, and honestly, I found it incredibly boring. But once I found that conversational aspect with God, where I did exactly what you just said, started talking to him about your day and what's going on in your life, and talking to him like he's a friend sitting there next to you, it changed the whole dynamic. It was a conversation that I looked forward to basically every single day. Nathan, ever since you've started doing that, having that open conversation, that back and forth with God, how has that changed your relationship with him?
Yeah, I'd say that's like one of the main things that has helped me go deeper in my faith, because obviously I can just talk about any problem with God and know that it's in better hands than mine. And it just helps you go deeper, because I mean, basically like having a conversation with anyone, the more you talk to them, like the closer you're going to go to them. And I think the same can kind of be said about God, is like if you talk to him more and you get to know him more, especially like through reading the Bible and stuff, that's how you get to know him. But like just praying with him and having that conversation regularly, I think just really helps in like growing deeper in your faith.
What's the most important aspect of any relationship, any friendship? It's of course communication. It's a two-way street where we not only talk to God and to Jesus Christ, but there also has to be that element of listening as well and hearing what's said back to you. How does God speak to you, Nathan?
So I don't think God talks directly to me. God more leaves signs for me. And like, especially in my case, I literally ask God, I'm like, I'm probably too dumb to realize some of this stuff, so you got to make it painfully obvious. And I think, and God does that for me, I think. So that's how I see God the most, is when there's just an obvious sign of something that I've been wondering about, and I see just plain right there. And that's how I was like, that's probably God right there. That's, yeah.
Provides so much clarity, doesn't it, when we
Yeah.
get a sign like that?
Yeah.
This past weekend, 4th of July weekend, I had a chance to spend it on Torch Lake with some just really good people. And one of the people there kept talking about just how beautiful the sky and the water and everything else was there. And I oftentimes hear that that's how God speaks to people, is through nature, through beauty, through the things that he's put around us. And it was so crystal clear to me on that day, where other people appreciating the landscape and what God has put in their life. And it's so cool to see other people pointing it out, how God has blessed them, how God is working in their life. So I think that's an awesome thing. Another cool thing that I've seen you do, Nathan, is you go the extra mile when it comes to your faith. You step out of your comfort zone to do the extra things like voluntary Bible study. You were there every single week during the school year, learning about God, soaking up as much information about our Catholic faith as possible. Where does that come from? That desire to go deeper, to go the extra mile and learn as much as possible about Jesus Christ, even when it's not, quote unquote, required of you?
I would say it's just, I mean, like I said before, like getting to know more about God has helped me so much. So with Bible study especially, just being able to talk about it has helped me a lot. And that's kind of where that encouragement comes from, is like, I go here, I'm going to learn more about God, I'm going to get closer to God, and that's something I want to do. And I'll be honest, like some of those mornings I wake up, I'm like, ooh, I don't want to get out of bed right now. But then I think about all the positive things that have come out of Bible study for me in the past, and I'm like, yeah, it's totally worth going, because I'm going to get closer to God through this. And at the end of the day, it's just, I do really enjoy going to those. It's fun, it's laid back, it's, yeah.
Having donuts every once in a while there probably helps a little bit too, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Another cool thing that you're doing is, and I think this is absolutely awesome of you and your friends, you are starting a men's group tomorrow. Here in early July, 5 other outstanding Westphalia teenagers and yourself will be starting, like I said, a men's group in which you'll meet on a regular basis and hold each other accountable and talk about Catholic faith and how Jesus Christ is moving in your guys' lives. Just talk about that a little bit. What made you want to get involved in that?
So one of our leaders at the Well, talked about him being in a men's group and how much that has helped. How much like it helps to have people to hold you accountable in your faith, and like really keep that in the front of your mind. And being able to talk about it a lot with other people really helps you to grow deeper in your faith as well, because you'll know more about God. And then so I think that's what's encouraged me to like really be a part of it, is like I've heard all the positive things that have come out, that can come out of it, and it sounds cool to just be able to talk about your faith with a bunch of friends, and then at the end of the day you all grow deeper in your faith. That's like a win-win. So
You oftentimes hear the term that you are who you hang around with, and that can work obviously as a positive and as a negative. I've seen you surround yourself with incredible Catholic role models in your life, especially at school. You have a lot of friends who are very devout in their faith. How important is that? How do they hold you accountable and keep conversations of Jesus Christ commonplace when you're out and about with your friends and talking about life and doing all the other things that you guys do?
Yeah, it's great to have Catholic friends, and because they do hold you accountable by like, if we're hanging out somewhere, and like, being a high schooler, you're not always making the best choices, but with friends that are like, is this what Jesus would want? Just a tiny saying like that, and it's like, well, shoot, you're right. I probably shouldn't be doing this then. And just stuff like that really helps. And then also, like, especially with my friends, we'll get in some deeper conversations about Jesus sometimes, and that's been incredibly helpful for me to like see their views on things, and then we can talk about it and just like collectively all grow closer to God, which is great.
Any past conversations that you've had with them about Jesus Christ that would be appropriate to share on here?
I don't know if there's anything in particular. Just kind of talking about how God plays a role in our lives and our decision making and just things like that. So
it is interesting to see, isn't it, how you're molded by the people you hang around with, where if you share common interests with someone and they want to grow deeper with Jesus Christ, that has an impact on you as well. And the Bible talks about it countless times, where surround yourself with disciples of Jesus, people who are going to hold you accountable and ultimately get you closer to heaven. And Nathan, I've seen you do that during your time over the past few years here since I've known you, so that's an awesome thing. Nathan, before we wrap up, we just have a few kind of fun quick hitters for you. What has been the best piece of advice in the faith that anyone has ever given you?
Now, I don't want to sound like a suck-up, but one time you were like, pray about something and just keep praying about it, and eventually it'll get better. And that's helped me so much, just praying over and over and over again about the same thing, and eventually it fixes itself. So
you are certainly not a suck-up, and Nathan, that was the absolute perfect answer. So that's really cool to hear. Prayer obviously is the ultimate remedy to literally any situation in life. Nathan, who are some faith role models in your life? Who has had a big impact on you?
I'd say kind of like we were talking about before, like just having friends in the faith has really helped me get deeper in my faith, seeing like what they do and like how they go out of their way to get closer to God, and that's easy to like apply myself to because they're my peers. I can relate to them, so that helps me to do those same things, I think. So yeah.
Here's a fun one. If you could hang out with anybody from the Bible, with the exception of Jesus Christ, who would it be?
Now, it might be a weird answer, but I'd almost think like Judas, who betrayed Jesus, would be kind of cool, because it'd be interesting to see like an apostle like that who's followed him for such a long time. It'd be interesting to see what like ultimately turned him away from God that much and the temptations he was going through. And I think that helped me too, because then I'd be like, oh, so those are the real ones that get you. And
that's a really intriguing answer.
Yeah.
I think we've all been in a situation similar to Judas, obviously not to that extent, but where we're following Christ and then something evil pulls us away in a big way, and to realize what that spiritual battle is like. So that's a really intriguing answer. Nathan, if you could go to any faith-related place in the world, where would it be?
Ooh, I think, the Vatican City sounds really cool, because, just churches and like just all that cool stuff. And that's like, yeah, that's where the Pope is. It'd be cool to like hear him say a mass. Obviously, it's like going to be similar to what we usually do, but like the fact that it's the Pope and leading the whole Catholic Church, like everybody, I think would be really awesome. So.
Well, Nathan, I have quite the surprise for you. In 2 years, in summer of 2027, you will have the opportunity to attend Mass with Pope Leo, and so will anybody who will be 18 to 35 years old. Listening to this, shameless plug, the next World Youth Day is in Seoul, South Korea in the summer of 2027. For anyone who would like to go, and again, it will include Mass with the Pope. So just keep that on the back of your mind. Truly the trip of a lifetime, if that interests anybody listening. All right, Nathan, last one for you, and this is perhaps the most important one. If you have a chance to attend a slaughterhouse in Saranac once again next year, like you did this summer, will you or will you not take advantage of it?
I will 100% take advantage of it.
What was that experience like this summer when you went to a slaughterhouse for the whole morning?
Oh, that was crazy. I mean, we spent the night at a friend's house the night before. Me and Eli did, and then we both woke each other up early, and we showed up there, no idea what to expect, and then just slinging meat here and there, and it was just a great experience seeing all that and just doing it.
They put you in charge of 2 huge butcher knives, didn't they, that day?
Yeah, they did.
That was for a good cause, folks. It was to raise money for the students attending Steubenville this summer, which actually you will be going on as well. And for your first time going, correct?
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to most about that Steubenville trip here in a few weeks?
I've heard like a lot of the stories about how it has like genuinely changed some people's lives and just growing them closer to God. And that's what I'm looking forward to, I guess, is just seeing how God speaks to me individually through that trip, and yeah, I'm having a good time with people and getting closer to Christ.
Life-changing indeed. It's changed the lives of a lot of our PW students here over the past few decades since PW's been going on this trip, so it is truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Nathan, one of the things that I think people appreciate about you most is that you're not ashamed to be Catholic, not ashamed to be talking about Jesus Christ. You're unapologetically Catholic, which is an awesome, awesome thing. You're a soldier of Christ. You're bold in your faith. I appreciate you being here tonight, brother. Keep fighting the good fight. It has been a lot of fun having you on.
Oh yeah, it has been.
Thank you so much for everybody who listens to this podcast on a regular basis. If you are currently a PW student and you would like to come on, please shoot me an email and we will work out a time and a place to do so. Until then, we hope you all have a blessed rest of your week.